Oh, man, I will tell you, if that intro does not get you pumped up to watch a little GT3 racing here at the All-American Racing Series, I don't know what will. Welcome back, folks, for yet another installment of your Monday Night Fun here on the American Racing Network. So glad to have everybody out there watching. We've already got some chat going on, and so we certainly appreciate that. But sorry for the little late delay here as we are at VIR. I wanted to make sure that we had all of our timing towers working properly for you tonight. As we now, folks, only have 2 races left in this series. We've got tonight, and then we're going to the Glen next week on Monday, and then we are done with season 1, and we'll have a little bit more information here coming up about season 2. But tonight, here at VIR, you can see that is a 75-degree temperature at a 3.24 mile track. So this one is sure to be a lot of fun for you. Let's see if we can pull away this, because we want to talk about the points real quick before we get into the qualifying. And you cannot see that on the screen, but I can tell you, Blake Scott with a commanding, resounding lead here in the points. Mark Scott was able to wrestle away second place. Jeff Perchowski is going to be in third in your points. Miles Gilsinger in fourth, and then Kurt is going to round out your top 5. And we will go through that as the night goes on. I will give you a little bit more information on that. So let's take a look and see where we are right now. We're going to show the tower. As you can see, it looks like Blake was able to pick up yet another pole position with a 46.431. Mark at a 46.779 will be starting shotgun. And let's see if we can get our official lineup going for you, so you can see where your favorite drivers are going to start. I do see already a couple of people out here rooting Trevor on. Alex in the chat saying, let's go, Trevor. Good luck to the rest of the fam. So, and then Jacob is out there saying O'Neill is the king. I will tell you, Trevor's had some fantastic runs so far this year, and would not expect this to be any different. Blake Scott is going to start on pole. Mark is going to be second. Miles in third. Trevor out there in chat. Trevor starting in fourth position. Jeff Perchowski, your third place in points, starting in fifth. Kurt there in sixth. Rory in seventh. Wade Moskowitz eighth. Daniel Sheffer in 9th, Angel in 10th, Noah, Cody Williams, Bob Carroll, and Ron Losi are going to round out your 14 drivers that will be taking the green flag here tonight. So really excited for this one. As we start to wrap this season up, we can talk about all of the things that we had throughout the season. We've had Blake with some very dominant performances, really the car to beat all the way through this season. Mark with a fantastic finish and has picked up a win this year. Always been a fast car, has been bit a little bit throughout this season, but has some great runs, and now is second in the points. Miles dominant in the rain there at Indy with a great run there. Trevor O'Neill has had some fantastic podium runs. Jeff Perchowski been solid all year long. So has Kurt. So all of these drivers with a story all on their own, and we will go through that throughout the rest of this night. All right, so let's see if we can get this off of the screen for you. And we are going to back down our intro music, as now we can see these drivers. Looks like they are piled up and ready to go here on the field. I see Caroline is out there. Caroline, good to have you again tonight. And it does look like, there we go. Everybody is lined up. As you can see, those 2 Aerokinetics Mustangs are going to dominate this front row yet again, as they are going to go around Virginia International Raceway. I have not spent a lot of time on VIR. I do know that when I was speaking to Blake last week, this is a track that he was kind of looking forward to. He said he spent quite a bit of time here. So I do look for Blake to come out, really put a charge into this. He was about 0.4 of a second ahead of Mark there in qualifying. So do look for Blake to jump out pretty early. But I will tell you, there's a couple of guys sitting back there on that second row, and Trevor and Miles, they're going to be extremely hungry, and they know, and I've talked to both of those drivers, really trying to stick with these 2 Mustangs on the fire-off when they get started for the first couple laps in this race is going to be extremely important. So look for them to push pretty hard early. All right, Kathy's out there again. So, Kathy, good to have you back, rooting on the two Scott gentlemen as they go around here to get themselves ready. I do look for this track to have its slick moments. There is some slight elevation change, not like what we have seen at some other tracks, but still some elevation change nonetheless. You are going to see a lot of that in season 2 as we talk about some of the tracks that are going to come up that I think all of these drivers in this league have really put in their input. And I do know that Cody takes that very, very seriously. And one of those things that they thought was, you know, let's get out here and spread the wealth a little bit and go to some other tracks that we might not normally see. So we're going to try to get you, hopefully by next week, a schedule that we can throw out so that all of you folks know where they are going to be racing and be prepared for that. As they continue to pace around here, just 2 races left to go. That's going to be bittersweet when we see these drivers finish this first season. It's been a great first season. We've seen a lot of these drivers really grow and in iRacing in these GT3 cars. You know, these gentlemen, they had to pick just one car to stick with all season long. And I did hear from Ron Losi. He is our lone Lambo driver in the field, and I will tell you, he cannot wait for this season to get over soon enough, as that Lamborghini has just been a thorn in his side all season long. They're going to pace around at this race just a little under 2 minutes, about a minute and 47 to a minute and 49. And we do have a 60-minute race, as we do every single week. So be on the lookout for that as well. As always, they will have to come in and at least get 1 pit stop completed tonight. You do have your timing tower and that tower up there in the top left-hand corner. And then at the bottom right-hand, as always, you will see that battle box. When we highlight a driver, that number will be highlighted in yellow like we are with Blake here. And that is going to tell you the distance in front and behind him for the drivers closest to him there on the track. At the top left is going to be your actual standings. All right, here we go, folks. That pace car has turned off. Blake will take this field down. Yet again, another fantastic pole. VIR, 60 minutes to go in this race. And there you go. He is on the loud pedal, taking that Mustang through the gears, getting a fantastic jump out on the field. Does look like you're going to have Miles duck underneath the mark here. And again, we talked about that earlier. Miles is going to drift up just a little bit and get tight, push Mark up the track. That's going to open that line for Jeff Perchowski there on the right-hand side. Mark able to defend that line back. Oh, he's going to run off just a little wide, get loose. That's going to allow Kurt to get by. Now Miles is, oh, and then Mark is going to get in the rear quarter panel of Miles, spin Miles around. I'm sorry, that's Trevor. Let's see if we can go back and take a look and see what happened there. As you can see, Mark just kind of getting in there real tight and getting right into that quarter panel of Trevor. That's going to push Trevor off, and he's going to back into that fence. It does look like he is going to lose the bumper cover. He is going to keep the wing on that. So if you're Trevor, I think the goal here might be to stay out until you can get in and get that fast repair completed. And as you saw back there in the back, that Lamborghini of Ron just getting bent once again. Yeah, Ron just getting off track and getting those right side tires over there in the grass and spinning him around. Let's go back up as Jeff Perchowski, Wade Moskowitz now are going to start battling. Jeff is in 4th, Wade is in 5th. Wade now starting to get to the back end of Jeff in that Corvette. Jeff, our only Corvette here on this field. You see Angel Rodriguez doing a fantastic job. It does look like we have registered Trevor as another crash. So, oh yeah, you can see the right rear tire, folks, just not moving on that car. It's tucked underneath of that thing. So this thing is going to be driving very, very difficult for him to get around. And Yeah, he might try to tow that car so that he can get that fast repair done. But you can see Wade really now starting to put the pressure on Jeff, as you can see Mark Scott up there right in front of them in third. Wade been very solid all year, having some great runs. He had a nice podium last week. We were able to get him in the chat and talk to him. Let's go back and take a look at Daniel Sheffer. Is Sheffer now on the back end of Rory? Rory kind of changing that paint scheme up a little bit tonight, going with that black and red Porsche. Looks very nice. Daniel has had some solid runs too. I believe he struggled just a little bit last week, but he has had some really good runs in this Porsche, and he is right on the back end there of Rory. Just about 0.4 of a second behind. All right, it does look like that's going to die down just a little bit. You can see that elevation change as they're coming down the hill. That's going to be a pretty tough braking zone. And these Porsches really being as light and nimble as they are, it's not surprising that they're doing pretty well out here today, as they're able to get into those braking zones and really power down. As it does look like Sheffer now starting to fall back a little bit from Rory, but Rory is starting to put some pressure on Angel here in this Marlboro car. Angel, one of the more solid drivers. I say this every single week if we have watched him grow as a driver this year, really getting out and turning laps in this car. He kind of runs at his own pace. You never really see Angel in trouble. There's been a couple of tracks that he's had a little bit of issue with, but overall around the other drivers, he's just very patient, takes his time, picks the lines that he can run, and normally you will see him up in that top 10 battling. As now this battle is going to get a little tighter. Rory trying to find his way around Angel, now has Daniel coming back to him a little bit. He's going to start putting pressure on the rear end of this black Porsche. This is your closest battle. Mark Scott goes purple, as you can see there on the timing tower. Last lap at a 46.825, went purple on that lap. He is your fastest car in this race trim. As we are now 5 minutes in, Mark about 0.6 off of the back of Kurt, so that battle is starting to heat up as well. You can really see Angel being able to get a lot of power down through that straightaway. Daniel still trying to find his way around Rory, using every bit of this track over the rumble strips in each corner. It looks like Trevor was able to go into the pits. He did come back out of those pits. Now, just keep in mind, folks, that he is going to have to pit one additional time here. All right, this battle looks like it is starting to simmer down just a little, but now this one for second position is heating up. Mark Scott now on the back end of Kurt. That blue and white Porsche with another good solid start to this race is starting to feel the pressures. They're going to go through these S's. Mark really turning some fantastic laps. As you can see, about 0.3 faster than anyone else on the field that last lap. Kurt, good solid start. That little bit of contact that was there earlier between Mark and Trevor really put the field in a checkup situation. Kurt able to take advantage of that, get a great start, jump out here. We are looking for Miles. I'm not sure what happened to Miles. He went all the way back to 12th. He had a good fire off. It looks like Miles went off track. Let's see if we can go back and take a look at Miles, see what happened to him. Yeah, just more rear end damage. That left-hand side of that car is some pretty bad shape, too. As you can see now, it's just stuck. That left wheel just stuck there. Really tough starts for Trevor and Miles on this race. Hopefully those drivers can get those fast repairs done, start to battle their way back. We'll keep an eye on them as we go around. Both of them are out on the track right now. They are turning laps. Miles turning a 46.884, really solid lap last lap. So there is some speed in that car. Kurt and Mark still fighting over this position, but now this is starting to turn into a four-way battle as Trevor has been able to get back to the rear end of these drivers. And again, oh, it does look like Angel's going to shoot off just a little bit. Daniel Sheffer's going to get out of the way. And Trevor's going to get a two for it. Now, Trevor off track there. I don't believe that's going to be a slowdown, but now that is going to allow Bob Carroll to start putting a lot of pressure on the back end of Sheffer. Angel able to squeeze away a little bit as those drivers were battling behind him. Trevor on the march forward, trying to get as many spots back as he can. That is going to put him at a pretty big disadvantage. Again, there are no full course cautions in this league, so he is going to have to try to battle his way all the way back. Yeah, Jacob, that was a great move by Trevor. Kurt really holding tough here as Mark still trying to wait for that little mistake. Jeff Berchowski now starting to get into view. Woo, Mark trying to shoot to the outside, get on the left side of Kurt. He had to go really hard on the brakes there. Wasn't able to make that move work, but just trying something to get by this driver. He can see Blake Scott up ahead, just getting a little further away. Kurt with some fantastic pace. So that's going to bring Jeff Berchowski and that Corvette up to the back end. Wade Moskowitz not too far. You can see him in that screen as well. I mean, you cannot fit a piece of paper in between these two drivers. Mark trying to put a lot of pressure on Kurt to get that driver to make the smallest mistakes so he can get this Aerokinetics Mustang underneath of him. And here's where there's a lot of strength for these Mustangs, but Mark just not quite to the back end of Kurt coming down this straightaway, so he's going to have to fall back a little bit. Kurt doing an amazing job just staying diligent, hitting his marks. So easy when you see a mirror full of another driver trying to take some different lines to just make the smallest mistake. Kurt just nailing every single spot. Now this is going to put a lot of pressure on the back end of Mark, as now Jeff getting closer and closer to these two drivers. Mark is going to feel the, oh, and Mark's going to get loose. He's going to come out of the turn, and that's going to give way to Jeff. Jeff able to make that pass on the left-hand side, so put that driver up to third now. Mark just spinning the tires just a little bit on exit. He had to chase that car down toward the apron. That opened the door for Jeff. We can see now that interval up to 4.3 seconds. Blake Scott to the rest of the field. Kurt doing what he can to stay in that second spot. It looks like Blake still running sub 48s at a 47.8. So as this race ticks along, Blake starting to do what he normally does, which is start to stretch that out a little bit and just put one lap time up after another. It does look like everybody able to stay on the track outside of Trevor and Miles that had the broken car. So looks like everybody is staying on track. Let's see if we can go back and see where Trevor is on the field. His next closest person is going to be Wade Moskowitz in 5th place. You can see Wade up front. So Trevor does have some speed. He is moving forward. And it does look like Wade is going to be the next car in front of him, as Rory is right behind him there in 6th. I'm trying to go back and see what happened to Angel, but it does not look like Angel lost anything. He might have just pulled over. We'll go back and take a look. So you can see Angel now in 9th position. So Bob, Daniel, and Rory, all three able to get by this driver here. We're going to go back up here to your leader. Take a look. Blake Scott, he doesn't get a ton of airtime because normally he's out by himself. As you can see, just hitting those marks as best he can, using every inch of the track. And these drivers, you know, when they're just that dominant, it just almost makes it look like they're just out for a little Sunday drive. Let's ride on board here with Blake. Like I said, just looks like he's out there for a Sunday drive. And now this battle for 2nd position heating up once again, folks, as it does look like Mark has recovered now, cooled those tires down. He's starting to make another run at Jeff. Jeff's starting to squeeze into the back end here of Kurt. Kurt just running a really great defensive line tonight. He's really got this Porsche dialed in. He's comfortable in the line that he's running, and that has put these drivers trying to find a way to sneak around him. As you can see now, Mark, again, just taking that a little bit wide. I believe that's how he got loose last time. Wade Moskowitz in the background starting to close in on these three drivers as well. So here is your battle. Is now Jeff is going to take that outside line, very similar to what Mark tried to do before. Mark trying to do the switchback, unable to get his nose underneath the Jeff. Jeff's going to hold on to that position. I believe that later entry for Jeff going into that turn was a move to try to block Mark, as he saw Mark try to make that move on Kurt a little bit earlier. Just so hard to pass here at VIR, just one really quick line. And all of these drivers fighting over the same piece of real estate. We do have Noah registered as an off track. Let's go back and take a look at Noah. Did not hit anything, able to get that car back on track. Now Mark Scott really starting to drive that car in deep, getting a great break on that turn. And that's going to put him right here. Jeff's going to try to defend. He's not going to be able to do it. It does look like Mark is going to have that right-hand side, and he's going to have the draft for Kurt. So I believe he is going to be able to make that pass. They're going to come into a pretty heavy braking zone. Jeff's going to kind of tuck in behind him. So move Mark back up to that 3rd position, back on the hunt here to get by Kurt and get his 2nd spot back. Looks like Bob Carroll has went off track and then jumped to the pits. Let's take a look at Bob. Oh, what a major, major impact to the front of that car. It's just like he just missed the braking zone altogether. Let's see if we can go back and take a look at that again. Man, having to take this thing to the pits. Here he is on camera. Oh, just nowhere to go with just heavy, heavy impact. Wow. He is going to use a fast repair now. You can see Mark starting to close back in on Kurt. He wants that 2nd position. The gap, the interval up to 5.2 seconds to Blake there in 1st. We show Rory with the track. Let's jump real quick to Roy. Yeah, it looks like that driver's going to be just fine. Just overcorrecting just a little bit, getting into that dirt. The dirt really creating some issues. Sometimes, and on some of these tracks, they're able to get those tires off on the dirt, able to bring it back. It does look like tonight here at VIR, really kicking those cars sideways, and they're having to fight that thing to get it back on the pavement. So that has happened to a few of these drivers, but he is back on the track and in good shape, as this is your closest, tightest battle here on the track. All three of these drivers have been knotted together since the very beginning. We are now 18 minutes in. Mark sliding that Mustang through that turn as you see him come down to that quick left-hander. He's kicking up dust, trying to find a way to get some additional speed coming out of there, going down the front stretch. And it looks like Kurt really taking it easy through that turn. That turn 1 and 2. Mark really sweeping. He's going to have a great run here. Oh, and he's going to try to cut back to the left-hand side. He is going to make that. It does look like Kurt's going to give him some room, but he's going to battle back. Oh, Kurt's going to overshoot that turn. He's able to hang on to it, as now they're going to touch going through the S's. Mark backing off. Not putting either one of those drivers in danger. Now looking to the left-hand side. He's not quite there yet. What a close battle. Now Mark shooting down to the inside, having to back off again as Kurt able to close the door on him. This is a heavyweight battle tonight, as this track's so tight on the turns, such high speeds down the turns, really nowhere to pass, and you're almost having to move drivers to get by. As you can see the frustration and Mark flashing those lights saying, man, I have got to get by here. I believe I'm a little bit quicker than you. That's allowing Jeff to get back into this battle here. I mean, this is some aggressive, hard-nosed, white-knuckle driving by all three of these drivers. Now the gap back 4/10, and then you can see Jeff really right there in your screen as well. Does it look like we were going to register another off track, but it did not look like all the 4 tires came off on Noah's car, so he did not get the off track. We're going to stay right here on this battle. Again, your closest battle out here on the track. We are now 20 minutes into your 60-minute race here at Virginia International Raceway on the All-American Racing Series. 2 races left, this and Watkins Glen next week. We will be crowning a champion, top 3 with plaques and trophies for your inaugural season here at AARS, and they are putting on a show. Mark going to slide off of the track, trying to get a little wider. That could have been a vision issue there. It's being so close to the back end of that Porsche. Able to get that car back on track. What a great job there by Mark, because we have seen some other drivers get those tires off and be able to turn that car around back through the track. He was able to hang on to it, get it back on track, and now he is back on the hunt. We're going to go back and take a look at Trevor. We saw him a little bit earlier on in this race having an incident there on lap 1. He was battling his way back. Wade Moskowitz still the car in front of him. As you can see, Wade still a couple of turns in front. Trevor now settled in here. He will have to come down and at least get some fuel to be able to make the rest of this race. And there he goes. You can see him now just coming down pit road. I believe that's going to put him in that window to go the full length, and that's what he's doing here. All right, Mark trying to cool those tires just a little bit, making a great run there at Kurt. Kurt able to hold him off for the time being. Now falling just a little bit back. That Corvette is not going anywhere. Jeff Perchowski with another fantastic run, getting speed in that vet. And I can't tell you, one of the things we've seen with Jeff throughout this season is he will become faster and faster and faster all night long. Yeah, he is, Trevor. I see Alex Jacob. Yeah, he is. Trevor is back out on the track. He has already filled up, and it looks like he is back. So I believe he can probably still snag all the way up to 8th place if he's turning some fantastic lap times. So just keep an eye on it. You'll see that timing tower up there at the top left-hand corner, and that in the white shows you the laps that they are turning every time they come in. So when they cross the start-finish line, it's going to flash a new lap time at you, so you'll be able to take a look at it. For instance, now Trevor there, 2:31.852. That's going to include that pit stop in that as well. Mark inching his way back up to the back end of Kurt, trying to find his way around this driver. And, you know, I think Mark has probably got to start thinking, or even Kurt, maybe Jeff, you know, when do I come in for this pit? I'm in my window to make this thing for the rest of this race. Do I come in and try to put myself outside and out of this three-way battle? If you come in and you can beat them out by a second or two, if you're Mark, you might be able to jump this Porsche. If you're Kurt, you might hop in and be able to do the same thing and put a little bit more distance between you and Mark. So a couple of different strategies. Jeff in that Corvette, maybe he wants to get some clean air on the nose of that machine, so he's going to come in early. I see what a great shot here. As you can see these drivers under heavy braking. Mark sliding that Mustang around. Now Kurt's going to get off the track just a little. Able to hop back on. You can see the debris just kicking up from those tires. And here he goes. He's going to try to get him under heavy braking. Oh, and he's going to push him through the turn to make room for him. Oh, Mark's going to get off of the track again. Just such a tight track and a hard place. I don't believe Mark is able to find a spot around Kurt. Kurt just driving such a great lap. And there you see it. Now Jeff Perchowski is going to make his way down pit road. He is going to choose to get himself out of that battle and try to get some clean air on him. Wade Moskowitz is going to take over that 4th place. We haven't talked about Wade a lot, as these top 3, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, have been tied and knotted in a battle all race long. This driver leading your race. He is now up 9 seconds over your 2nd place driver. Get able to come down these S's just almost full speed in this Mustang. Not really having to brake till he gets to this left-handed switchback here. And this battle is going to continue. You can see the front end damage there on Mark, where he got a lot of speed through that S and got into the back end of Kurt. Kurt with a little of back end damage on that tail panel as well. Both of those drivers, again, they do have a fast repair in this race. Jeff Perchowski is on and off pit road. Oh, and it looks like Kurt is going to lose it. Oh, right in front of Mark. Damage to both of these drivers as they have wrecked. Kurt coming around that turn. Oh, and it does look like the right front might be badly hurt on Kurt's car. What a huge change of events. Let's go back and take a look and see what happened to Kurt. He just come down this hard braking zone. Oh, he just stayed sideways and never quite got that thing. Oh, and that is a hard impact on the right front of Kurt's car. I believe Kurt is going to have to inch that car around, get that thing in the pits, take that fast repair. Yeah, Caroline, this is some race. It certainly is. We're going to see if we can catch this thing back up live now. You know, Kurt is coming down. So is Mark coming down. Might be some heavy front end damage for Mark. Kurt with that right wheel just turned out on it. He's going to have to get that fast repair. Wade Moskowitz is going to join them in the pits as he was able to choke that up. I will tell you, that is really going to help out Jeff Perchowski, as both of those drivers having to slow down to a stop coming out of that turn. I believe that is going to give that Corvette second place overall, as Daniel Sheffer is going to be your driver now taking the lead. He has stayed out, still waiting to go in and get that pit stop done. Rory's right behind him, and then you'll cycle back around to Blake. Daniel keeping that Porsche clean throughout this race, showing some speed early, really having a nice little battle there with Angel and with Rory. He is now able to space himself out to about a 13-second lead over Rory. So either that driver had an off track, or Daniel just really putting some pace down, and he is going to remain your leader. As now you can look, Blake Scott is going to be right on the back end of Rory and looking for that second place. Rory still has to come in. Now, it does look like Blake Scott with some left front damage on that car. I do not see anywhere where it shows that Blake got an off track, but you can see that spoiler is definitely lifted up, and that left front tire poking out on that car. Not sure what that's going to do damage wise. We will see here as we start tracking these drivers' lap times. But he is in a big battle trying to find his way around Rory here for second. Rory not coming into the pits quite yet. And there he goes. Rory's going to go down in the pits, and he is going to turn that second place over to Blake. We will have to keep an eye on this driver. Again, some left front damage there. And like we talked about before, you can see the gap. Jeff Perchowski's now going to go into second as Daniel Sheffer is in the pits. But that accident between Kurt and Mark is going to give Jeff about a 5.5 second, 5.2 a second lead over Mark Scott. That's going to come out in front of Kurt, and he's going to have about a 2-second, 1.8 second lead over Kurt. So Mark is going to be in third, Jeff is going to be in second, able to jump both of those drivers through the pits. My goodness, what a huge change of events. And we're just going to come right back here and look. Rory on and off pit road now, right behind Angel. Angel being able to make that pass. He's going to be in sixth place, getting by Rory. Rory now is going to have to battle his way back after having that pit stop done. Angel is in and out, so his pit stop is done for the night. This is going to be your battle here for sixth position, and your closest one on the track. It does look like Marcus was sneaking in just a little bit. Blake's last lap, it shows, is a 152. Jeff's at a 148. We're going to keep a very close eye on these drivers as they go around. Your fastest car out there on the track last lap was that Corvette of Jeff Perchowski. Now you can see Blake. It doesn't look like that left front damage hurting him as he turns a sub 47 at a 46.976. So he's going to gain about 9/10 of a second back. Mark Scott's going to get about a 8/10 of a second on your second place driver. So he is definitely coming. Looks like Angel now starting to pull away from Rory. This battle has died down just a little bit. There's Miles. We saw Miles earlier with the second place jump on that start, getting some damage himself onto the back end. I believe it was the left rear wheel on this car where he had to come down and get some repairs done. He's battled his way back here to the 8th spot. Daniel, we talked about him earlier, was your leader. While those pit stops were cycled around, he's come out of the pits. He is in 9th. Noah Zimmerman, we've talked about him a few times tonight, just on a couple of off tracks, but again, here he is sitting in 10th position. Not that far behind him is going to be Blake Scott, so he is going to start running into some lap traffic here very soon, and I've got to think that that's really going to throw a wrench into Blake's plans, because this is a very tight track, very tough to pass here. Kurt now starting to fall back to the grips here of Wade. Wade has caught up to this driver for 4th position. Kurt doing such a fantastic job making that car as wide as possible in 2nd place earlier on in this race. Now starting to fall back to the clutches of Wade Moskowitz, another driver that gets faster and faster and faster as this race goes along. Behind them, you'll see Trevor O'Neill. And when we saw Trevor before he come in and out of the pits, he was about 5 seconds behind Wade. So he has made up a tremendous amount of real estate to this driver. This Martini painted Porsche after that blue and white Porsche there of Kurt. Kurt, one of your drivers really battling and has a potential for that 3rd spot in the points. Doesn't want to give up any more spots. As it stands now, Kurt is 5th in points. Miles Gilsinger, we just had talked to Miles. He was in 4th. Trevor is in 6th. Wade Moskowitz 7th in points. So Kurt really battling as he can pick up some points there on Miles if he can have a great finish today. This battle starting to heat up again between Rory and Angel. Angel was able to sneak away from Rory for a little while. That might have been cold tires for Rory. Now those tires and the heat cycle is up. These things are coming back in, and he has taken this newly painted Porsche, and he is aiming that thing forward, trying to get himself by Angel. Angel, again, just doing what he normally does week in and week out, which is hit his marks, stay on the track, and keep the fenders on this car. And there you go. We're gonna pop up some information here on the bottom left-hand corner of each of these drivers that we're talking about. You can see the best lap by Rory was a 48.5. That last lap at a 50.5. All right, while this battle wages on, we're going to go back up here because this battle has not gotten over yet either. Now Wade really starting to put some pressure on the entry of these turns. Kurt doing what he done earlier in this race when Mark was behind him, which is make that car wide, make it difficult to pass. Blake still out front. Your driver up about 8.7 seconds to your 2nd place driver, Jeff Perchowski. Now Mark Scott is starting to close in to the back end of Jeff for that 2nd position. We will go to that battle as it gets a little bit tighter. But this right now, your battle for the 4th position, Kurt in front, Wade wanting it. Trevor, we know he is a lap down right behind these drivers. And I'm sure he's doing everything he can to try to catch some people, as we still have a good 23 minutes left in this race. Kurt, outside of that one mistake there where he slid right in front of Mark, has really done a great job of hitting his marks and finding a lot of speed in that Porsche where it counts, where he can stay in front of these other drivers. And you can see, again, Kurt just taking that defensive line. He just takes that early line into that turn so that he doesn't want that cutback to happen. And you can see Wade taking that more normal line as he goes in. So certainly Kurt trying to defend his position. Lots of points on the line here, a position he does not want to give up. .3 seconds now, your gap from second to third. So Mark Scott is closing in on Jeff Perchowski there, as now we can see Rory underneath of Angel, getting that great run out of the turn down the front stretch, able to get that pass done, put this driver up to sixth position. Really nice run, solid pass here by this driver in the black Porsche. Rory doing a stellar job tonight. Looks like Wade falling back just a little bit to Kurt. And while we don't have a very close battle here on the track, folks, I'm going to take a quick commercial break so we can pay a few bills, and then we'll be right back with you. Welcome back, folks. Now, you can see that Mark here has made that pass on Jeff, put Mark Scott up to second place. We're going to go back and take a look at it. It was a pretty easy, nice pass. It looked like Mark really able to close in about 6-7 tenths on Jeff there in a single lap. Jeff just giving him the inside there at turn one, letting him go around. So let's go back and take a look at it. So you can see here, just kind of stand to the outside, allowing Mark to take that inside line and get that pass done there going into one. That big, long, sweeping turn certainly helped them out. So Jeff deciding to not make that a fight so that he can stay in third. He has a large, large gap here on Kurt as this battle, again, still going on. Oh, Wade is going to get loose coming out of that turn, the same spot that Kurt spun it. So these Porsches getting a little loose on that downhill. Noah Zimmerman, it looks like, is starting to struggle a little bit. Let's go back and take a look at Noah's. We got him as an off track just a few times He is going to do, that is the same thing that Bob Carroll did on that downhill, and I believe that's going to get some major damage to that left rear tire. It did knock that bumper cover off. He was able to get that car back on track. Hopefully he can make it. Nope, he did have to get back onto pit lane to get some repairs done with that car. All right, let's go right back up here to your battle for fourth as Wade Moskowitz still on the back end of Kurt, trying to find a way around this driver. Kurt has become one of the harder drivers here to pass at VIR from the looks of it. Most of your passes happening in that entry to turn one. So Kurt taking that super defensive line, not allowing anybody to get to that right-hand side of him. Let's go back and take a look at this driver, Angel, still in a fight. He is up 2 positions from his starting spot. He is in 8th. Miles, with that earlier wreck, has now found his way back around Angel, put this driver up to the 7th position, and right in front of him is Rory. So he has come charging back through this field. Again, this was your driver there that was running second for a short time. It did show he knocked a bumper cover off. We didn't find out exactly what happened to him, but he is now starting to eyeball this 6th place back through this field. Tell you, what can you say about this driver here, Blake Scott? Just every single race, very solid, getting out to a large lead. He's now 9.1 seconds over Mark Scott, being able to get out front and get in that clean air. Then he just sets sails, nails whatever his braking points need to be, whatever his throttle points are. He's never over the top of his steering wheel. Just a fantastic drive by him. This is going to, and he is eyeballing win number 8 out of 11 races. I believe Ken won a race earlier on in the season. Mark Scott, his father, won a race. And then Miles was able to capture a race at Indy. The only drivers able to beat this man right here, about 15 and a half minutes to go in this race. Blake Scott still putting on fast lap times, a 47.560 to Mark's 47.669. Both of those drivers sub 48s. You don't see that again until this 6th place driver of Miles Gilsinger there turning a 47.628. So really interested to see what happened to him, Miles, earlier on in this race. But it looks like he has some tremendous pace as well. Let's go back and check, since we have a lot of people there in chat cheering on Trevor. Trevor is in 10th now, getting by Noah Zimmerman. He is running a 48.4 last lap, so he's showing some great pace as well. Wade Moskowitz fighting for 4th, showing an off track. Oh, and there he goes. He is going to be able to get back on, and he is going to kick dirt up sideways. What a ride. Trevor backing off, doing a fantastic job allowing that driver that's up a lap on him to get back in front of him. But man, Wade was up on that steering wheel, fighting that car back onto the track. Blake continuing to pace around, get further and further ahead. Now that gap at 9.6 seconds to your 2nd place driver here of Mark Scott. It has been an eventful evening for this gentleman. As per usual with Mark, lots of fireworks around this driver, but accident there on lap 1, putting himself in the back, well, about 5th, and then having to battle his way back a little bit loose there on the exit of the turn, allowed Jeff to get ahead of him, getting into that altercation there with Kurt as Kurt gets loose and spins sideways on the track, having to battle his way back, getting his fast repair done. And here he is now running 2nd. You know that he's going to want to have had a chance at his son there in 1st. But man, just not in the cards for him again tonight. Now he's going to continue to drive this thing for all it has. We know that about Mark. Mark is going to drive this Mustang as hard as he possibly can, but man, Blake just putting down one blistering lap after another. Oh, let's go back and take a look at Rory after making that pass on Angel. He is going to get turned around, and Angel is going to be able to get by him. We got Noah Zimmerman showing as another off track. Man, these cars, it looks like as we get some rubber down, they're starting to get looser and looser and looser under braking. Jeff Perchowski in this vet, the only vet that we have here in the field, has done a masterful job finding his way through. He was able to jump these two drivers, Kurt and Mark, earlier on in that pit stop. Mark with just some blistering laps, able to run him back down, but he is solidly sitting here in a podium position. He is 11.5 seconds in front of Kurt, so hit his marks here for the next 13, 12 minutes, and he is going to have yet another podium here on the season. Kurt looks like he has stemmed the tide there of Wade. That battle now over about 2.6 seconds. Trevor, as a matter of fact, has gotten by Wade Moskowitz right behind Kurt. You can see Trevor starting to come into the frame. Let's go back and take a look, as these two drivers are really nose to tail, having a nice little battle themselves. Trevor was able to get by him, and it looks like now Wade trying to get back by Trevor so he can have a shot there at Kurt. I believe Trevor is going to have a little bit more pace. I'm going to go right back here and take a look at this gentleman. Miles able to get by Daniel, Sheffer, Rory, and Angel. So now put Miles with a great comeback so far tonight. He is in 6th position now. He is miles away from Wade, about 36 seconds. But man, what a great comeback. He has had to have an additional pit stop because he had to come in early to get that fast repair done. So great drive back by him. Let's take a look. He would turn a 47.7 last lap. So he had lap times a little bit faster than really what Blake was able to turn there. So he had a lot of speed and has a lot of speed here in this Acura tonight. Just unfortunate he gets caught up in an accident early on. Looks like Blake does not have a whole lot of drivers out in front. You can still see that left front damage on that car. Very interested to see what happened to him. That had to be after his pit stopper. He would have got some of that damage repaired. Now it's really just about hitting his marks. Only about 9.5 minutes left. This turn in particular has been one of those trickier turns where those drivers can really come off of that curb and hit that apron to get some additional turn. It's been problematic for some of these drivers. Now, Mark was able to close in just a little bit. That gap down now to about 8.8, 8.9 seconds, but certainly too far away to mount some form of attack on Blake, unless Blake were to do something in a major way that would put Mark to his back bumper. We're going to go back on board with Blake. Just take a look at how he's getting around this track. See, just a little bit of understeer there in that Mustang. Really using all that track, allowing that car to swing up to the right-hand side on those two quick left-handers. Just very patient on the throttle, waiting to feel the grip in the steering wheel before he puts the power down. This is where this Mustang's going to excel, just extremely fast uphill run. You can hear the debris as he runs over a little bit of mud there on the exit of that left-hander. Again, having to run that wide so he can get a great angle to this turn. Really hard under braking. Pretty tricky little area there, and then we've got a bit of an elevation change here, and you got an upward hill, under braking, and elevation coming down. So Blake just really trying to hit his mark, stay into those black zones, and that's where you're going to find the most rubber. Now coming down the front stretch, and there is a lap around this track with Blake. We're going to go back and take a look at Roy, as it does look like Roy now showing another off track for this driver. What was a great run. Again, just touching that grass with the rear tires and getting that car loose and whipped back around. He's going to be back on track and fine, but that is going to tighten up this race here with Daniel Sheffer. Daniel now starting to put the pressure on. He wants that 8th position. Roy's starting to get a little out of sync. Oh, Trevor O'Neill registering an off track. Let's take a look at Trevor. Yeah, it looks like he just overcooked the entry of that turn. That's going to give way to Wade Moskowitz. Now Noah Zimmerman. We got a lot of action on the track here. Noah Zimmerman is showing that he has wrecked. Yeah, you can hear that downshift by Noah, and the second that he downshifted there, and the RPMs come up, it just kind of chattered those rear tires, and around that car went. All right, it does look like Roy's able to get himself back under control, up now a 2.5 seconds over Daniel Sheffer. Now, folks, man, this race has went by quick. I hope you have enjoyed it out there as much as I have enjoyed calling this. It was not without fireworks here. 5.5 minutes to go, and it does look like you are going to, if everything holds serve, the Scott fellas are going to go 1 and 2 yet again. Blake Scott's going to pick up his 8th win here on the season. That is just massively impressive. Jeff Perchowski coming back this week with a great podium run so far. Again, he is well ahead there of Kurt. Kurt having a great battle with Mark throughout that first half of that race. Been one tough customer tonight. Sometimes it's not about the pace, it's about the grit that you have there in the steering wheel. And man, Kurt really showed that that not only is he a racer, and he is a clean racer, but he's going to fight for every square inch that he can get. And man, he done that tonight in fantastic fashion. Mark able to find a way around him. Him just getting a little loose there under heavy braking. I do believe that that Mark would have found his way just from pace alone, but man, Kurt really, really made it hard on him. Wade Moskowitz knows exactly how that feels, as he was on the back end of Kurt, but he is going to have another fantastic races. This driver's up in 5th position. But I will tell you, story of the night is the comeback drive of Miles Gilsinger. I mean, he was down and out, wrecked, has shown to have some pace comparable to those in the top 3 after he come in and got those repairs done, having to make an extra pit stop for fuel in this race, but has battled his way all the way back to 6th position. So great job by Miles. Angel, what more can you say about this driver? Week in and week out, never finding himself in trouble. just turning his laps, and here he is now in 7th spot. He started in 10th, so he is going to have yet another top 10 finish, and great job by that driver. Rory, he has had an eventful evening, but a good evening, as this is going to tighten up just a little bit. Rory and Daniel Sheffer's night are not over. They do not have to hit their marks. They've got to go and try to get this 8th position. Rory has it. Daniel wants it. Only 6/10 are going to separate these two drivers. Rory is going to have to really nail his marks, not get that car off in the grass, as now it looks like Daniel's going to close in even further. He's going to be able to catch some draft. 2.5 minutes left to go in this race. Oh, real quick, before this race is over, let's go back and take a look at Noah Zimmerman. He has had a difficult night. It does show him crashed. That's the same thing that we saw a little bit earlier, just in a different turn where he just kind of downshifted real quick, kicked him back around. So let's go right back up here. 58 minutes of your 60-minute race in the books already. This race now only 7/10 of a second are going to separate them, as well as these two drivers. Wade Moskowitz able to get around Trevor, and he is going to put a late charge. Now only a minute and a half left. Both of these Porsches, everything they've got, it is all out. Let's see if we can go back up here to your leader, Blake Scott. Again, one of those drivers doesn't get a lot of airtime since he is just really out there on an island all on his own. But, man, he has put together another nice little piece of a race here at Virginia. This is one of those tracks, like I said, I did talk to him last week. He said he had a lot of time here at this racetrack. And anytime you hear that from one of your more dominant drivers, then that has to show you that there's going to be a good race by him, and he has done that. Mark has clawed his way back to only 7.2 seconds away, and I know when we talk to Mark, it's going to be what could have been if he had been able to get closer to this gentleman right here with only 30 seconds left to go in this race. These two Aerokinetics Mustangs, yet again, first and second here on the field, coming down this backstretch, and he is starting to celebrate already. It's almost like he knows he's on camera, you know, as we're going to follow him around. And here he goes, coming off of that final turn, getting his way to the start-finish line, looking for that checkered flag. As you can see, Mark there in the background, passing that start-finish line. Your winner at VIR, Blake Scott. And it looks like he's going to quick jump right to the pit road. And we're going to see if we can stay back on some of these other drivers. Now, Jeff Perchowski coming around. This driver in third is going to come home with a podium finish. Great job by him. And there is your battle for fourth and fifth, as Wade Moskowitz and Kurt having a fantastic drive to the very end. Now let's go over here and take a look at Rory and Daniel Sheffer. Daniel all over the back end of this driver. Angel right in front of them as well. Miles is going to come home in sixth position. This is not quite over. Oh, Daniel's going to really drive it into that turn. Get a great run over to the right-hand side. He's going to peek in there, but no way he can do it. Coming down that long chute of the S's, that is going to, barring anything, Angel a little slow here. That is going to tighten up really quick for Angel. My goodness, he is going to be able to finish this off in 7th place. Rory is going to be in 8th. And now Daniel Sheffer in 9th position tonight. Great race and finish by those drivers. Noah is going to be able to come home in 11th. Bob Carroll is going to be in 12th. Ron is going to be in 13th. And now Cody Williams is going to finish this race without taking that green flag. And let's just go and show your finishing positions, and let's see if we can hide this for you. So again, Blake picking up yet another win. This is going to be 8 on the season. Mark finishing in 2nd. Jeff Prochowski is going to round out your podium there in 3rd. Kurt in 4th. Wade Moskowitz 5th. Miles in 6th. Angel's going to be 7th. Rory in 8th. Daniel in 9th. Great battle between those drivers there at the end. Trevor in 10th. Noah Zimmerman in 11th. Bob Carroll in 12th. And then Ron is going to round out your 13 drivers that took the green flag tonight. All right, we're going to see if we can hide that now. And we're going to go back a few laps to see if we can get our hands on your race winners. And let's see who we've got first here in the waiting room. All right, let's see if we can head. We're going to do this in reverse this time, folks. We're going to have a conversation with your 3rd place driver and work our way up to the Scots. So let's see if we can get Jeff in the broadcast booth. Jeff, this is John Ross. You got a copy?
What's going on, John? Good to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute, but I will tell you, I've watched the points. One of the things that we always talk about here when we watch you race is, you always seem to come in and get faster throughout the races, and you qualified well tonight, which was fantastic. Saw yourself really a really good battle between all 3 of you, Kurt, you and Mark Scott there for quite a while. And we were even talking about it in the booth, who was going to be able to jump who and who was going to be the first one. Did you go in the pits thinking, man, that's what I want to do, be able to get in front of those guys and get some clean air?
Honestly, I just wanted to stay out of trouble. I came into this race. I had a honestly embarrassing, for lack of a better word, showing at Road Atlanta. Could have locked up 3rd place in the points last week if I with a good run, but just was out of it. Was just one of those days, man. Out of it the entire race. Wreck early, incidents, this and that. It's funny that you point out that I get faster over the course of the race. I know exactly why that is. I don't have enough time to practice anymore. I come in here and sometimes I haven't even run the track at all before I start the race and qualify a grid. So luckily this case wasn't that bad. I got a couple laps in yesterday. Knew that I was going to be decent on pace. VIR is one of my best tracks in other cars. Not a lot of experience in Corvette. So I knew I was going to, I had the confidence, at least I know the track going in. That's definitely a good thing. Then we got out there, had a good qualifying run. Got a little bit of a slow start. Cold tires are not great in the Corvette. Really wanted to make sure I didn't cause another lap 1 incident or early race incident, and get myself or other people involved. So really wanted to stay out of trouble there. Once the start was over, I knew just got to lock in, hit your marks, set sail from the field. We did that. We pulled away. The top 5 or 6 or whatever cars pulled away. And like I said, I really was just trying to stay out of trouble with that pit call. I knew that once I got in the fuel window, I didn't have the pace that Kurt and Mark did. I knew that I didn't, and I knew that Mark was he was quick enough to get past Kurt, but it's so hard to pass a VIR that he was just getting held up. So I knew that I had to stay out of trouble, number 1, and 2, they were going to slow each other down a lot. And I thought I would gain a little bit of position. I always make sure that I'd be as aggressive on pit in as I can. Did a pretty good job of that. Be as aggressive with the fueling as I can, take as little fuel as I have to try and gain as much time as possible in the pits. But I did not expect to come out going in, 2.5 behind them and coming out 6 seconds ahead. I don't know what happened, if they were battling the whole lap. There's another car involved in that too. I think Wade ended up catching up to them. I don't know what happened, but that was better than best case scenario for me, because I wasn't even really intending to do that, get that far out ahead. Blake was going to catch me eventually. I knew that I was just trying to keep it on the track at that point. get that clean 0x race was what I needed. And honestly, could not have asked for a better result today. Like this is exactly what I needed to recover from last week. And just got to show up and do it again at Glen, lock down that P3 in the championship.
Well, I will tell you, this race is certainly going to put you really in the driver's seat for that third place. I believe Miles come in sixth, so that's going to give you a little bit of space, especially capturing that 0x points as well. So it is going to come down to it, but I believe you're in pretty good position with a good, strong finish. So just walk me through before we let you get out of here. Walk me through this first season. This is going to be our first season here at AARS, and man, this has been just some amazing racing in this GT3 series. Pretty short season, really, with just a handful of dozen races. But man, how has this been for you?
Honestly, I was pleasantly surprised with how this season went, both in performance and in enjoyability. I got recruited to this league. I mean, Christian told me about this league, and you were broadcasting. I was like, okay, I got to be a part of that, even if I've never done a paid league before. I've really tried to spend as little money as possible on iRacing, if I'm being totally honest with you. You guys know, Christian knows I
Yeah.
don't like spending money on it. But when I heard there was going to be, prizes for the podium guys, and I saw that, there's a pretty wide range of skill levels here. But I was like, I mean, even if there's guys like Blake, Mark, Kurt, I can race up there with those guys. And I got the Corvette is not the best car at every track, but I'm a loyal guy. I stick to my guns. I've been a Corvette guy since that car came out. So I was just thinking for myself, I mean, I'll give this a shot. I don't have a lot of experience and a lot of honestly good races in the GT3. I'm just kind of mid-pack at best usually. With compared to what my I rating is at. What do you think that my I rating is? How quick I am? I'm more of a prototype guy, 100% through and through. Um, but I really enjoyed this. The racing has been great with great battles, great tracks too. Honestly, I mean, I don't care what the Europeans say. America has the best tracks on the planet, road and oval. I don't care what you say, dirt and asphalt. Um, so it was a really great season. I love honestly the length is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. 12 races is honestly or however many it is a perfect length for a season. Don't get too burned out. Don't have guys that are dropping off saying, "Hey, I got stuff coming up and I'm just burned out of the league," and you get like 5 people at the end of the season. That happens a lot. Perfect length of the season, perfect amount of cars too. We had a really great showing at the first couple races of the year, but still pretty strong through and through. 15-inch cars, most of these races, and just it goes down to the people again. I've had so much fun racing. I mean, as quick as Blake and Mark are in those Mustangs, the times when I've been able to beat them has been like the highlight of my season, honestly. And I'm totally fine with that, with how many different levels of skill there are here. And the battles, I'd love to see, like Angel got a P7 today. Love to see that. Love to see guys that are not consistently running in the top five. I've had battles with them throughout the season. There's been such parity, even though there's a wide range of I ratings in this league. So honestly, didn't really, I just honestly was just trying to see what would happen with this league and see, hey, I know that GT3 might not be my favorite series or my best series, but I really want to just try it and see what happens, see if I have a good time. And it's been everything like that and more. So I can't thank you guys enough for having me, for putting on this league. Awesome tracks, awesome racing, awesome guys. If you guys have prototypes for next year, be careful because I'm coming and hopping in that car first thing. So um, but it's been awesome. Yeah, and I'm really glad that the ups and downs are what they are. There's been races for everybody where people have gotten screwed. Some stuff has happened, whatever, but that's racing. And honestly, just can't be happier that I'm in a really good position to get a podium, which is exactly what I am here to do.
Well, you have done a fantastic job all season, and before we let you give your shout outs, a little birdie has told me there very well might be some prototypes coming next season. So just for the back of your head, your mind, when we get ready for season two. So
Yeah,
we certainly
I'm here for it.
we're certainly appreciative of you coming out, really running hard, running clean. I've certainly learned a lot watching you. I've certainly appreciated calling you, and we will turn it over to you and let you give your shout outs.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, man. Yeah, first, thank you to you, John, and then putting on the broadcast, and Cody putting on the league. You guys have done a great job all season. Really enjoy having you in the Bean team and getting to know you and getting to know seeing me race and watching everybody race and growing it faster together, it's been awesome. Thanks to the other guys in the league, obviously, for battling hard and honestly, surprisingly clean for how competitive of a league this is. You don't see, field clearing wrecks like you see in a lot of other leagues, road or oval. It's really clean, really just awesome experience this season. I'm just saying this now because I don't know if I'll have a chance to next week. So really, really glad that I did this. Really, really great experience. The GT3, the Corvette especially, has really grown on me a lot. I've definitely enjoyed it more. Definitely learned a lot more. Definitely looking forward to running it more in the future. Maybe not for endurance races. We'll keep that to the prototypes, but at least for these kind of races for sure. And then just it's got to give every thanks to the Bean team, Christian, Jackson, Sully, Levi, everybody there. Always watching my races, running races with us, getting everybody better one day at a time. We're running 12 hours of Sebring this week in the P2. We got two LMP2s, just to let you know, in the P2 this weekend. So we're looking super forward to that. That's one of our favorite and really highlight events of the year. So as much as my life has changed and gotten crazier and crazier from the start of this season, just a short number of weeks ago, really glad that it's all come down to this. All the same people are there for me. You guys are still doing a great job with the racing and the broadcast and all that. So just thank you guys. Thank all you guys for making this what it is.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you for coming out, and good luck, because I want to try to pull up all the podium drivers that finish in the points next week. So we hope to speak to you then.
Right on.
All right.
Thanks, Sean. Good
Thanks,
talking
Jeff.
to you, man.
Yeah, you as well. All right, there is your third place driver, Jeff Perchowski, doing a fantastic job and really highlighting what it is like here at AARS and what people are able to do. So proud to be able to call it and talk to these drivers and see the growth that they have. So, all right, let's get after Mr. Mark Scott and see if we can bring him up to the booth. Mark, this is John Ross. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do, John. How you doing tonight?
Hey, listen, man, it wouldn't be a race without Mark Scott fireworks. And you had something a little bit earlier on in the race. So walk me through that first lap and then man, it looked like it was just really difficult to pass here at VIR.
Yeah, first off, I want to apologize to Trevor for our incident. I knew that Miles was going to send it in turn one. So I tried to move over, give him a little space. He gave me a little tap. Went through some other corners and all kind of melee broke loose. And I tried to stay out of Trevor's rear quarter panel, but these Mustangs, they just really don't have much traction on the first couple laps. And my front wheels were just not sticking, and I tapped his rear end and around he went. So I apologize to Trevor for that. But yeah, and then I got passed by Kurt and couldn't pass him. The track is so hard to pass, and he did a really good job making that Porsche 80 feet wide. So yeah, I just had to take my time, and he finally made a mistake, spun off the track, came back on, hit me a little bit, and then I had to chase down Jeff, who drove an incredible race. So it was tough but fun.
Yeah, it really does look, and after 60 minutes, when we're sitting here broadcasting them or people are sitting here watching these races, you're nice and calm and you just see it. And we're fans, right? So we enjoy watching it, but it is completely different than when you're in those cars. Sometimes getting out of 60 minutes here on the sim is just exhausting, and it didn't look like tonight was any different as you were ever having to fight your way through every square inch of this track tonight, through by Kurt, the incident in one, and then catching Jeff at the end. But here we are, right? Second place. It looked like there at the end you were pacing quite a bit quicker than Blake. I'm sure Blake was trying to make sure his margins were good, but you were one of the faster cars here out on the track when you were able to set sail and get clean air on the nose of that. So great job here finishing second, and second in the points with just one race to go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the last race. And, I know Jeff was going for 0x tonight to get those 50 extra bonus points. So I made sure I did not touch him. I didn't want to give him that 1x to ruin his night. I wanted it to be clean. So we go into the last race with a tight second, third battle. So yeah, it was tough, but Blake's tires were going away. This Mustang, they first stint or first, 10 minutes on the tires are great. The next 10 minutes are terrible and then they kind of come back to you. But if you overdrive them, they're just gone pretty quick.
Yeah, well, and it did look like that because even about midway through that first stint, I would see on those quick right-handers, it looked like your car would just slide through the turn a little bit, and it would take you about a lap to really get them to cool back down. So, and that's what's fun about it too, and it's one of those things that makes this unique is you have to pick one car. You can't bounce around from car to car, and you got to stick with that same one. So, but here we are, the very first season here at AARS, and we've got one more at the Glen. That is one of the most raced road courses here on iRacing. So,
Yeah.
how comfortable are you there, and what do you think we can expect?
Oh, I love that track. Both Blake and I like that track. It'll be interesting in the Mustang. I know it's got a lot of torque. It should do pretty well. Not too many tight corners, so should be a good one. And looking forward to it. Hopefully, we all have a clean race and get through it safely.
You got it. Well, congratulations on a P2, and I'll turn it over to you here, Mark, and give you shout outs.
Thanks, man. To you for putting on all these broadcasts, Cody for putting on the league, all the drivers in the league have been great. They're all getting really fast, as you saw in the times today. Jeff was right up there. Miles could have won the race if he would have played it a little smarter. He had the pace to beat Blake and I tonight. Blake and I were talking about that. So shout out to all the drivers. They're getting super fast. And yeah, shout out to my family, father, my son, everyone. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've always got a huge crowd that likes to tune in here, and not only have I gotten to know you and Blake, but Caroline and Kathy as well as we spend our weeks together here on Monday night. So thank you very much, and we hope to speak to you again next week.
All right, have a good night, Ross.
Thanks. All right, so there is your second place driver of Mark Scott. So let's see if we can get over here and get our last word with Blake, and we're going to bring him up to the broadcaster's booth. We do have him in there. Blake, this is John Ross here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
All right, man. So that is win number 8 here on the season. Did look like you got a great jump early on, really right out of the gate. And a couple of little things happened behind you, and that gave you exactly the gap that you needed. And then it was just really smooth sailing from there. A couple of things I want to ask you here. It looked like you got some little left front damage after that first pit stop. And I didn't see anything there on the relative. Was that just coming out, or was that contact?
That was coming out of the pits. I think I tapped someone in turn 1, whoever was right in front of me. I think it was Rory. I just kind of misjudged my braking point coming out of the pits and gave him a little tap, but no harm, no foul. 0x for both of us. But yeah, I didn't even realize I had damage.
Yeah, and I didn't either because it didn't pop up on the, I can normally see if somebody goes off track or has damage. And then when we cut over to you, I could see that left front was rolled up, and I thought, well, I'd never seen anything. So that was kind of curious, but looked like, and when I was talking to Mark about this a little bit on that last stint, it looked like your car started to fall back just a little bit, where Mark was turning some quicker lap times there. And then he kind of got into where the Mustang was on tires. Did the tires really start to give way here later on in this race?
Yeah, I mean, the track was 126 degrees, and this new tire model is really tricky. Just getting used to it this week, but yeah, the first 10 minutes or so are fine, and then it turns to a nightmare like you're driving on ice. So I was really just trying to play it cool this whole race. I definitely didn't have the pace. Just consistency kind of won me the race tonight. But yeah, it was tricky. It was definitely tough.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what it is, right? It's just being consistent on the track, and sometimes if you can get out and just hit your marks, it's not necessarily your pace more than it is the difficulty that some of the other drivers have, as they're battling through the field. But here we are again, VIR. I know it was a good track of yours, and we've got one race left here for the season, Blake, and that is at Watkins Glen. So I'm sure you're comfortable there. What do you think we can expect?
Yeah, Watkins Glen's a fun track. I love it. Hopefully another win. I guess I'm a Smurf. I don't know what that means, but getting some hate tonight. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Well,
Never raced a car in real life. Never. I don't know. That's weird. But anyways.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think, as we start to wind down this season, race 12 races of this season, we start to look forward. But before we do that, we've got quite a bit of business to finish here. And this is our inaugural season. We've got some trophies, some plaques on the line here. And man, I really enjoy calling the races. And man, this has been a ton of fun, this season. But we still have a little bit more business to do. So congratulations on another win, your 8th of the season, and I'll turn it over to you, Blake, here and let you give your shout outs.
Yeah, no, huge shout out to you, John. Love watching these broadcasts back, and we're hoping we'll see you back for season 2, but I'm not sure how that's going. But yeah, really big thank you to you for your effort this season. It's awesome. Shout out to Cody for putting on the league and all the drivers. Everyone was stepping up, and it's been a good season thanks to the family watching, and yeah, see you next week at the season finale.
Yeah, I told Mark, I said, Kathy and Caroline, we hang out every Monday, once you guys run. So we certainly appreciate their contribution here in the chat too. So again, congratulations, and we will be speaking to you next week, one way or the other, and as we crown our champion, because I believe you probably just have to start that thing and it's over.
Yeah, I think it's wrapped up. So,
I do too.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Blake.
All right, John. Have a good night.
You too. And there is your race winner, Blake Scott, coming home number 1. He is going to pick up 8 wins here on the season so far, and we do have one more race to go, and that is going to be Watkins Glen. So make sure that you all tune in. We certainly appreciate everybody that is out there at YouTube watching us tonight here at VIR. Again, one race left, and then that is going to be it for the season 1 here at the All-American Racing Series. Thank you all, and we'll talk to you next week.